The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with whispers as Dr. Sarah Chen walked through its massive crystal doors. The human woman looked small compared to the towering alien representatives who filled the room. She carried nothing but a worn wooden box tucked under her arm, and a smile that seemed out of place in such a serious setting. "This is Earth's chosen ambassador," High Counselor Vexthor's voice boomed through the chamber. The creature's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of disappointment in their species. "We expected a seasoned diplomat, not a scientist." Sarah adjusted her glasses and looked up at the 20-foot-tall alien. "I'm both, actually, though these days I spend more time doing magic tricks than quantum physics." She patted the wooden box, making several council members shift uncomfortably in their gravity-adjusted seats. The security director, High Commander Zixtal, slithered forward on their energy tentacles. Scans show no weapons, no technological augmentations, no neural implants. The being's translucent body pulsed with blue light as it spoke. Subject appears to be a baseline human female. Age: 34 Earth years. The box contains only primitive objects. Cards, rope, small metallic discs. "Just my props," Sarah explained cheerfully. "Every magician needs their tools." The council chamber erupted in confused murmurs. The concept of magic had been translated into 57 different languages, each translation more puzzling than the last. High Counselor Vexthor raised all 4 arms for silence. "Dr. Chen, this is not an entertainment venue. The Galactic Council determines the fate of civilizations. Earth's admission into the interstellar community hangs in balance. Why would your leaders send someone who wastes time on tricks?" Sarah pulled a coin from her pocket and began rolling it across her knuckles. The simple motion drew every alien eye in the room. Sometimes the best way to understand something is to be entertained by it. Would anyone like to see a trick? "This is outrageous," a crystalline being chimed from their podium. "We should classify Earth as a Category 4 civilization immediately. They clearly lack the maturity for full membership." "Oh, come on," Sarah said, still playing with the coin. "Just one small trick. It'll only take a moment." Without waiting for permission, she flipped the coin high into the air. Every sensor in the chamber tracked the coin's arc. Security drones activated. Energy shields hummed to life. The coin reached its peak, caught the light, and vanished. Silence fell over the chamber. "Now, where did it go?" Sarah asked, looking around with exaggerated confusion. She stepped forward and reached toward High Counselor Vexthor's head. "Oh, there it is." The coin appeared in her hand, seemingly pulled from behind one of the alien's sensory stalks. The impossible movement registered on every scientific instrument in the room. According to the readings, the coin had somehow existed in multiple locations simultaneously before resolving into a single point in space. High Commander Zixtal's body flashed alarming shades of purple. That violates several laws of physics." "Does it?" Sarah asked innocently, placing the coin back in her pocket. "Or does it just violate what you think you know about physics?" She smiled at the stunned faces around her. "I look forward to representing Earth on this council. I have so many more tricks to show you all." The Galactic Council officially classified Earth as a Category 4 limited threat civilization that day. They would come to regret not picking the higher number. 1 month into her role as Earth's ambassador, Dr. Sarah Chen had developed an unusual routine. Every morning, she would set up a small table in the council's common area, where junior diplomats took their breaks. The sight of her wooden box had become familiar to everyone, though what came out of it never ceased to amaze. "Pick a card, any card," Sarah said to Tulax, a young hive-mind drone whose crystal-like eyes sparkled with curiosity. The alien carefully selected a card from the floating deck with one of its delicate appendages. "Remember your card, but don't show me," she instructed, shuffling the deck with practiced ease. Around them, other junior diplomats gathered to watch. Even some senior council members had started taking their breaks at unusual times, though they pretended it was just coincidence. High Commander Zixtal observed from a distance, their transparent body pulsing with worried colors. Every day for the past week, they had positioned quantum sensors around Sarah's table. Every day, the readings made less sense. "Is this your card?" Sarah asked, pulling a card from the middle of the deck. Talax's crystal eyes widened. But that's impossible," the drone whispered. "I just saw you put my card on top. And then you shuffled it away." Sarah winked. Any sufficiently analyzed magic is indistinguishable from science. She had been saying that phrase a lot lately. It was starting to give High Commander Zixtal headaches in all three of their brains. Later that afternoon, during a council meeting about trade routes, Zixtal finally spoke up. "High Council, I must report something disturbing about the human ambassador." The chamber quieted. Sarah looked up from her note-taking, still absently rolling a coin across her knuckles. "Our most advanced quantum sensors have been monitoring her performances." Zixtal's body flickered with nervous energy. According to the data, simple objects in her possession regularly exist in quantum superposition. She appears to be manipulating probability itself, and she's doing it without any technology we can detect. "That's ridiculous," rumbled Counselor Vexthor. "She's using primitive sleight of hand. Nothing more." "Would you like me to demonstrate?" Sarah asked, standing up. Before anyone could object, she walked to the center of the chamber. "I'll need a volunteer, perhaps the honorable representative from the Silicon Consciousness." A towering robotic figure stepped forward, its metallic surface gleaming. The Silicon Consciousness was famous for their perfect memory and unmatched analytical capabilities. They never participated in wasteful entertainment. Sarah pulled a red silk handkerchief from her pocket. "I'm going to make your representative disappear." "Impossible," the robot stated. "I mass 2.7 metric tons, and my consciousness backup system's air." The handkerchief fluttered through the air. For a brief moment, it seemed to expand impossibly, covering the massive robot. When it fell away, the robot was gone. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Security systems blared. 3 different species demanded immediate military action against Earth. Sarah stood calmly in the center of it all, still holding the red handkerchief. "Would you like to see me bring them back?" she asked with a smile. Or perhaps, she reached into her wooden box and pulled out a deck of cards. "We could try something really interesting." High Commander Zixtal's body had turned completely white with fear. They were beginning to understand why humans called it playing with quantum mechanics. To them, bending reality was just another form of entertainment. And Dr. Sarah Chen was just getting started. 2 months into Dr. Sarah Chen's ambassadorship, strange reports began flooding the Galactic Council's offices. The stories would have seemed impossible if they hadn't been recorded by hundreds of witnesses and sensors. During a diplomatic dinner, a hive mind drone asked to assist with one of Sarah's card tricks. She shuffled the deck and asked the drone to pick a card. Simple enough. But when the trick ended, the drone didn't return to its collective consciousness. Instead, it stayed separate, somehow maintaining its own thoughts while still connected to the hive. "What did you do?" the hive mind queen demanded, her 1,000 voices shaking the walls. Sarah shrugged, still shuffling cards. "Just a variation on a classic separate the cards trick. Your drone helped me practice." The independent drone, now calling itself Individual 7, showed no signs of distress. In fact, it seemed happy, asking Sarah to teach it more card tricks. A week later, the Crystalline Collective requested a private demonstration. They were the oldest species in the galaxy, living computers made of pure crystal. They had calculated pi to 1 trillion digits before humans invented the wheel. Sarah pulled out her wooden box. Ever seen someone turn crystal into flesh and back again? The collective's representatives watched in horror and fascination as she wrapped a silk handkerchief around one of their members. When she pulled it away, a human-like flesh and blood creature stood in its place, looking at its new hands in wonder. "Don't worry," Sarah said quickly, seeing their panic. "It's temporary." She covered the transformed being with a handkerchief again, and it returned to crystal form. But something had changed. The crystal being now glowed with new patterns, claiming it understood organic life in ways no computer ever could. High Commander Zixtal called an emergency council meeting. Their body flickered between colors so rapidly it made some representatives feel sick. The human's powers are growing, they reported, displaying sensor readings on the chamber screens. Our instruments show reality itself bending around her. Laws of physics stop working. Quantum probabilities collapse in impossible ways. And she keeps saying it's all just tricks. There must be technology we're missing. Counselor Vexthor insisted, though all 6 of their eyes showed fear. No species can naturally manipulate reality like this. As if on cue, Sarah walked through the chamber's solid wall, seeming to step out of thin air. Several council members screamed. "Sorry I'm late," she said, taking her seat. "The door was locked, so I had to improvise." She noticed everyone staring at her. "What? Haven't you seen a simple walk-through-walls trick before? Any street magician on Earth can do it." The chamber erupted in panic. "Any human can do this," multiple voices shouted. "Well, sure," Sarah replied, pulling her coin out again. "We start learning this stuff as kids. Birthday party magic tricks, you know. Though most people don't combine it with quantum physics like I do." She made the coin dance between her fingers, and according to the sensors, it existed in 17 different dimensions at once. High Commander Zixtal's body had turned completely transparent with shock. They finally understood the truth. Humans hadn't needed to develop reality-bending technology because they had been casually manipulating reality for fun since childhood. The galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council had finally had enough. 3 months after Dr. Sarah Chen's arrival, they called her in for official questioning. The chamber was packed with the highest-ranking scientists from 100 different species. Security drones filled the air. Every type of sensor ever invented was pointed at the small human woman who sat calmly at the center, her wooden box in her lap. "Dr. Chen," High Counselor Vexthor's voice trembled slightly. "You will explain your abilities." "Now." Sarah smiled. "I've been explaining them all along. It's just magic." "There is no such thing as magic," the counselor roared, all 6 eyes glowing with frustration. "Of course there is," Sarah said. She stood up and walked to the center of the chamber. "Would you like to see my greatest trick yet? I've been practicing." Before anyone could stop her, she reached into her wooden box and pulled out, herself. Another Sarah Chen stepped out of the impossibly small space, smiled, and walked to the left side of the chamber. Then another Sarah emerged from the box, and another, and another. 5 Sarah Chens now stood in different parts of the chamber, all moving independently, all perfectly real according to every sensor. The original Sarah, at least they thought it was the original, began her coin trick, rolling it across her knuckles. The other Sarahs did the same, each with their own coin. Then, as one, all 5 Sarahs tossed their coins into the air. The coins never came down. Instead, they hung suspended, spinning slowly, each one existing in multiple places at once. "Impossible," whispered High Commander Zixtal, their bodies cycling through colors never seen before. The energy required to maintain quantum superposition at this scale. "Oh, that's not the trick," all 5 Sarahs said in unison. "This is." They snapped their fingers. Reality shifted. Every being in the chamber suddenly remembered a different past. In one set of memories, Earth had always been a Category 1 civilization. In another, humans had taught aliens magic for centuries. In a third, the Galactic Council had never existed at all. Then, with another snap, everything returned to normal. Only the memories remained, showing everyone what could have been, what might be, what was and wasn't, and could never be, all at once. 4 of the Sarahs vanished. The remaining one sat down, looking a bit tired but pleased. "That," she said, "is what humans can do. We don't just understand quantum mechanics. We feel it. Your species spent millennia building machines to detect quantum states. We spent that time learning to juggle them. She opened her wooden box and began putting away her props. Every human child who learns a card trick is playing with quantum probability. Every street magician pulling rabbits from hats is bending space-time. We turned it into entertainment because that's what humans do. We play with the impossible until it becomes possible. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then High Commander Zixtal spoke, their voice barely a whisper. How many humans can do what you just did? Sarah laughed. Oh, I'm just a beginner. You should see what our professional magicians can do. Want to meet one? She reached into her box again, and the Galactic Council collectively held its breath, wondering what new impossible thing they were about to witness. 6 months after Dr. Sarah Chen's arrival, the Galactic Council looked very different. The once formal chamber now had a stage in the center, where humans regularly performed magic shows for eager alien audiences. Today, Sarah stood at a podium, addressing representatives from over 500 worlds. Welcome to the first graduation ceremony of the Galactic Institute of Quantum Performance Arts, she announced, beaming with pride. Behind her sat 30 alien students, each with their own wooden boxes. These pioneers have spent 3 months learning the basics of human magic. High Commander Zixtal, now the Institute's head of security, watched with their body glowing a peaceful blue. They had finally stopped trying to scan everything with quantum sensors, having learned that sometimes it was better to simply enjoy the show. The first graduate, Individual 7 from the Hive Mind, stepped onto the stage. The drone that had once been just another part of the collective consciousness now moved with its own style, carrying a deck of cards with confidence. For my final demonstration, Individual 7 announced, I will separate not just cards, but consciousness itself. With a flourish that would have made any human magician proud, they split their own mind into 7 independent parts, then merged back together. The Hive Mind Queen in the audience buzzed with approval. Next came a member of the Crystalline Collective, who had mastered the art of quantum state transformation. They changed from crystal to organic form, and back so smoothly it looked like a dance, all while juggling probability itself. Even the Silicon Consciousness, who had once dismissed all entertainment as wasteful, had sent students. Their representative demonstrated how to store digital consciousness in a simple paper fortune teller, folding space-time as easily as the paper. High Counselor Vexthor, watching from their seat, leaned over to Sarah. We were wrong about humanity, they admitted. We thought you were primitive because you turned physics into entertainment. Now we understand. That's what made you powerful. Sarah smiled, rolling her favorite coin across her knuckles. The simple trick now carried new meaning for everyone watching. They knew that coin existed in multiple dimensions, its probability wave dancing to the rhythm of human imagination. Earth is officially being reclassified, Vexthor announced to the chamber. No longer Category 4, but Category 1, Reality Shapers. They paused. Though perhaps we need a new category entirely. No other species has ever treated the fundamental laws of physics as toys. That's humanity's secret, Sarah said, standing to address the crowd. We never forgot how to play. While other species built bigger machines and better computers, we kept that childhood sense of wonder. We turned the impossible into games, and then we mastered it. She reached into her wooden box one last time. And we're just getting started. Who wants to learn how to pull a rabbit out of a hat? I promise you, it's much more interesting than it sounds. The chamber, once filled with beings who looked down on primitive Earth, erupted in eager volunteers. As Sarah prepared to demonstrate the trick, she thought about how far they'd come. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through war or advanced technology, but by showing the galaxy how to make the impossible possible. And they did it all with nothing more than a wooden box full of tricks and the uniquely human ability to turn reality itself into entertainment. The universe would never be the same, and that was just the way they liked it.